welcome to My Car Shop. I believe this is our 42nd episode of My Car Shop. I've broken the show down into different projects where we're doing different episodes for the 47 Street Rod, and we're doing episodes for the Oakland and episodes for the Challenger. Eventually we'll be doing some episodes on the 68 GTS, the 74 Swinger, the 73 Swinger, and a few other little things we got around here, the 88 truck and so forth. But today I thought I would take a break. I do need to do a little sanding on this fender, but I will spare you the endless watching me sand product. This fender has turned out really well. There's just a little teeny minor spot there, but so far my intuition has been correct on that. So I'm happy with that. But today I want to get the doors opened up. It's gorgeous and sunny out and warm. It's probably 70 degrees already this morning out here. And I'm going to put the 47 out, put the 68 out, and I want to do some shop cleaning and things like that. One of the comments that was made to me privately about the show was just enjoying watching my thought processes working on things. Thanks, Mark, for that comment. I appreciate that. As I said in my response to him directly, you'll notice that I seem to be changing my mind a lot on things, and it's because, for me, this is an ever-evolving process. I haven't done this stuff professionally in a long time as far as being in a body shop every day. You know, I've been working on my own stuff, and I still do work for customers, although not as much as I used to. I'm just not up to speed on this anymore. And the second element, especially in this 47 project, is I haven't touched these fenders in years. So it's just taking me a while to get back up to speed on where I was at, what things were like, getting my own feel and my own touch back. If I was doing this every day like I used to, I would be a lot more efficient and fast, although I've never been Mr. Speedy when it comes to body work, and I think that's probably an unrealistic expectation on my part. Yes, if I was doing it day in, day out, like when I was working at Ron's Body Shop or when I was working at the Performance Shop in Cass City or other things, I was faster just from sheer repetition of doing it, even back in the days when I worked at Street Scene in northern Michigan. But I have to be a little bit patient with myself and say that my expectations of myself are probably a bit unrealistic. And at the end of the day, I'm just having fun, and I want to turn out a beautiful product when it's done. There are people that could do this better. I know that. I'm not claiming to be the best in the world, but I'm sharing with you what I do and how I do it. And good, bad, or indifferent, that's the way it is. Another reason for doing this show, I started this show, I've moved the cars around and I'm a bit lost where things are. But I started this show when I was starting on the 70 Challenger project with the roof. That car came out of a pile in a salvage yard. I'm pretty sure a buddy of mine picked it up because he wanted to save it from being crushed, and he wasn't sure what he was going to do with it. And it is quite an intimidating project. So he and I happened to be talking one day, and he offered the car to me for what he paid for it, so I bought it and brought it home. And of course you've seen those episodes where I've popped the roof back out and I'm working on it. I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the fabrication, taking things on that probably other people wouldn't do. My son Joe, we were talking the other day, and he said if I want to do an episode on his Charger at some point, that I'm free to do that. So that would be fun because that car was totaled when he got it. We did a lot of framework on that car and collision repair to make it what it is today. So we'll share some of the early pictures. And I'm hoping that he'll be home here at some point and be able to do an episode on his own car here, if he's willing, Joe. And it's a beautiful car. What he's turned out there is way better than this 47 for sure. It's unbelievable. So my purpose in putting this show together really isn't for, you know, the big world out there. It's for people that are interested, my family, my friends. Part of it is I'm not getting any younger, and a lot of the things that are in my head and my skills, I've tried my best to pass on to others, especially to my son. But at the end of the day, there's a video documentation of what I've done, how I've done it. And then when the opportunity came to get the 26 Oakland, that was my great-grandfather's car, and for me to start working on that, I realized that we wanted to share that as a family project and as a here's what we're doing so that everybody in the family can see this piece of our family history that my great-grandpa bought brand new in 1926. And what I am doing on that car and how I'm doing it, and how, so we can all over where we live, all over in various corners of the world, share in that process. So it's my hands, obviously, and my knowledge putting it together, but it's something that we're all sharing in. So that kind of came about after I had already started putting this channel together and these shows together. So it's just an opportunity for me to share what I love doing, and good, bad, or indifferent, that's what it's all about for me, and it's a way to pass on that knowledge. So, if YouTube was to go away, I have all these episodes saved. I'm going to put them on a hard drive and eventually on a DVD or something, so that they're preserved for the future, so that maybe someday my great-grandkids can see their great-great-great-great-grandfather's car when it was being restored. I don't know. Maybe the world won't be around that long. Right now we wonder with Armageddon, as my son calls it. We're all dealing with that right now. But anyway, so that's kind of the purpose of this. It's not intended to be step-by-step, here's exactly how you're supposed to do things, because quite frankly, I can only share what I do and what I know and what I've learned. And so that's what this is about. So today I do need to get some things cleaned up in here. I've been working pretty hard and heavy out here in the shop, and the paint area back there is a mess. The workbench here is a mess. My portable bench is a mess. The bench back over there in the corner is a mess because I've got all the 47 parts strewn all over. So kind of want to rein things back in a little bit as well. But I wanted to take some time and just talk a little bit about my intention for my car shop, what it's all about, that kind of thing. So I hope you're enjoying it. It seems like many of you are. A lot of family and friends obviously watching this, but also there's some new people here that I don't know or I've never had any conversation with. And the channel's obviously very small right now. If it gets big, great. If it doesn't, great. I don't really care. I'm just having a lot of fun putting this together. So anyway, thanks for joining us today for this episode of My Car Shop. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to add here today, but we'll put some video in and things like that, and we'll just see where it goes. I don't really have a plan. That's just kind of what it's about. So rock on, and we'll talk to you soon. That came to my mind as I was moving the cars out here. Scott had asked about maybe seeing some history on the 47. So I'm going to put together a slideshow. I have pictures of the whole build process on that car. I obviously can't do video because there isn't any. But so I'm going to get that done as an episode for the 47 as well. From the early stages of, I don't think I have any pictures of when we picked it up and put it on the trailer. But when we first got it home, when it was in my small garage where I used to live, and then taking it out to my buddy Jim's and the tear down and the chassis work and the body work, and we had the body up in the air on jack stands and all kinds of things that we did to it. So I'll put together a show on that, so you can see how far that car has come from the state that it was in when I first got it. The roof was caved in from snow up in northern Michigan, and it was really rusty and so forth. So the car's come a long way since then. My ex-brother-in-law used to call it the junkyard mobile because he took one look at it and said, that thing's a piece of crap and it needs to get scrapped. So I don't know, what do you think? Should it be scrapped? I don't. Something else that just occurred to me as I was pulling the cars out I wanted to share with you. Some people have asked about the shop building that I'm using here. This is an agricultural building. It was built in 1917. It's an old farm barn, obviously. When we moved to this place, I'll see if I can dig up some pictures to include here. The center of this shop was used as a paint booth for something. It was crude, cruder than it is now. So the first thing I did was come in and put up some 2x4 walls with insulation and so forth to try to seal things down a bit more, because quite frankly, I'm not sure what you could have painted in here. And I had 2 or 3 of the cars in here. I think Joe's Charger was in here, the 68 was in here, the 47 was here. But there was a couple of rooms over where the Oakland is right now. And I kept noticing dust was falling, especially on the 47 where it was over here, about where the fenders are right now. And as I started looking, the main beams across the shop were all rotted. There's a piece of one up there that kind of gives you an idea what it looked like. But when we decided to fix this thing, we tore everything out, the entire lock. So literally standing here on the floor, you could look all the way up 30 some feet to see the peak of the roof. And we started rebuilding everything. The main beam across over there was actually pretty good, but we reinforced it with some big, heavy hardwood planks on both sides. We free spanned it we took out the posts, and my father-in-law had the idea. He's a farmer, and so he has rebuilt a lot of these things, to put up some kickers up to the outside walls, because all the outside beams on the barn were solid. Must have been a different kind of wood. But everything in here was termite infested. So we actually started over here with my wife's corner of the barn where she has all of her gardening stuff. And we did that first and built it with a loft. And there's a ton of car parts over there, truck parts, Charger parts, stuff like that. And then the next section we did was what I call the body shop section of the shop. And we rebuilt all of that. My buddy Brad came up from Ohio, and Joe, my son, worked on it some to get it torn out, get all the rooms torn out. And then we had an entire family gathering here where we had, I don't know how many people that just went after it and got a lot of this banged in. Then Joe and I finished it, laid all the boards down, insulated it and stuff. I think I had already done the outside walls at that point. So we just finished this last year. There was the last quarter over there behind the mechanic shop here, which is the center part that was the old paint booth, if you will. That corner of the loft hadn't been done yet. So we did that this last October, right before I brought the Oakland home. It was like 2 weeks in or a weekend before we got that done, so I could have more storage for cars, because with the Oakland coming, I knew I was going to have more cars than I had space to put them in. So the Challenger and the 74 sat out, but we had everything else in the building. Well, the truck was still out back. So anyway, the Oakland came in here. We got that done. Now the 73 Dart is back there. And we got everything in for the most part. I think, except the Challenger, we pushed it back out the other day, as you saw in the episode. So anyway, let's take you over there so you can see when we dropped this main center beam down here, when it hit the floor, it just disappeared into a pile of dust. That's how close this thing was to coming down. And I shudder to think about what would have happened with all the cars in here had that happened. So it was a long process, a lot of work. But we knew we needed to get it done because Joe was wanting to finish his Charger, and that was the most important thing to me at the time, was getting the building to the point that he could work in here and we wouldn't have to worry about it coming down, and that he would have a good work environment. So let's show you what that beam looks like. So if you see the end of that, we tagged into that. The last 2-3 feet of that is actually pretty solid. We tested it very thoroughly, but if you look up there, you can see what that's like, and that was just termite infested like crazy. So then we came in with these hardwood 2x12 beams and tagged them in and put support poles in. I wanted to make this free span, but we couldn't. So we have 3 center poles supporting everything here, and then it's also tied up to another major beam upstairs that goes across. That's still in really good shape. So it was a lot of work, and I really was hoping to make this free span. And someday I probably will get a huge I-beam to put in here, and we don't have to have those poles in here anymore. But I did the calculations, and it's going to be one massive piece of metal. So that's going to be a while, because that's out of my budget. And quite frankly, I'd rather spend the money on another car or finishing one of these. Another thing that we did then was, for access on this side of the barn upstairs, built this stairway also out of hardwood. And another friend of mine named Jim gave me a beautiful box tube railing to put on there, and it'll be removable. It's upstairs. I haven't gotten around to putting it on there yet, but I definitely need to get that on there for safety reasons. When you're carrying stuff up and down, it's real easy to fall off of there, so I want to get that on there at some point. But so yeah, this side of up above the Oakland, on this side of the barn in this area here, is all the good parts for the most part. The stuff that's for the 47 and other projects that we have here. That's what's stored upstairs on this side, and then the other side over there is all stuff that's just stuff you might need, extras, but not necessarily for a specific project. So my car's shop is located in an old hip roof barn. It's approximately 30 feet tall and 103 years old, as I said earlier. Eventually I want to build another building on the property to store cars in and put a paint booth in. The building has had a new roof put on it. We're eventually hoping to steel side it. Plan at some point will be to get this whole building spray foamed. There's a few things more I want to do. Back in that corner, I'm considering blowing that wall open to the other storage area on the south side. The building has propane heat as well as an electric overhead heater. It's hard to heat, hence the reason I want to spray foam it. We live in a very windy area. It's the biggest shop that I've had. I've had bigger buildings, but not with this much floor space for shop. It's funny though, no matter how big they are, they're never big enough. Thanks for joining me for another edition of My Car Shop. Gave you a little shop tour today, talked about the building that we're in and just some things in general. It's great that you could be here today. I didn't figure that you probably would want to watch me sanding for hours and hours on end again. At some point on one of these projects, I might do some additional content that's extra, but for now, you're getting the idea of what it takes. I actually did go ahead and block out that driver's side fender again, and I'm so glad I did what I did. Trusted my instincts, and it is straight as an arrow. So that fender will be shot with primer yet today, and then they can both be, the passenger side fender needs to be blocked one more time with 400. It's close. That one will be blocked with 320 and 400, and I won't be putting near the primer on that I did yesterday. Just enough to cover everything up, fill in the little scratches that might be left from the 320 sanding and other things that I might have missed. I found several other spots in going over it today. Very minor things. I'm glad I spent the time on it. That fender's every bit as good as the other one now. So worked out really, really well, and I'm really glad. I also got the holes drilled in the bottom of the fender and checked the trim, made sure that fit, and it's good. So I'm just really happy with the extra time that I took. The shop's clean today as well. It's been a great day. It's beautiful out. I want to go out and enjoy some sunshine. I'll let this sit for a little bit. I rattle canned a few spots on it and let it cure up. But again, thanks for joining us on the show today. We really appreciate it, and you know, we've got a lot of episodes in the bag here, and there's a lot more coming. So just, I know in the next few weeks until we get back to work full time, I really am intending to put out an episode a day if at all possible. So you guys take care of yourself, stay healthy out there, keep your distance. You know, we don't know things yet. We think we do, but we don't. And it's better to be safe than sorry. You always know what you didn't prevent, but you never know what you did. So stay safe.